put together this Model T, which was 3 years ago. They accomplished it in 8 minutes and 6 seconds. And they're back today to see if they can beat that time. I would like to introduce the team, the first person who organized this event, and the head mechanic, the head honcho, the boss, Don Azevedo. Helping Don are Alex Azevedo, Bill Black, Bob Manili, Dan Gulko, Gary Bausch, Jim Boyden, Mark Garcia, Mike Kamisha, and Truett Johnson. And the person whose job it is to make sure that nobody is loafing, Pat Manili. I would like to thank Janella Azevedo for the use of her 1917 Model T. And I really hope she gets something back that she can use. Okay. The official timer for this event is Bob Edwards, sitting right next to me. I would now like to turn the microphone over to the announcer who will keep you informed about the event and will give you some extra information. Peter Jorgensen.
Okay, is the shop foreman ready out there? Yeah, Don's been trying to restore this Model T for years, and this is maybe a time for him to finally get it together and running. So is the team ready? Yeah, I saw you guys pushing it in. Okay, timer ready? On your marks, get set, go! Okay, while they're doing that, maybe some of you were over there at the 1 and 2 cylinder event, and they talked about Ford starting before the turn of the century, and Ford actually had two car companies before he came with the Ford company that ended up building the Model T. But Ford made quite a few different models before they came out with the T. There was the Model A, the first Model A, not any of those newer versions that are out there in the parking lot. And he made a variety of them, N, R, S's. He even made a big 6-cylinder Model K. And it was such a disaster that Ford said he would never build another 6-cylinder car, and he didn't until the 40s. But anyway, a few more facts about the T. Oh, those guys may get a finger in there. Leave one out. The Model T was built between 1908 and 1927. Some of the stats on the Model T is it's a 99-inch wheelbase. Engine is 177 cubic inch, 20 horsepower. Engine compression was 4.5 to 1. After 1916, it was lowered to 398 to 1. And it was talked about the 2-speed planetary transmission, so it only had 2 speeds, low and direct, which was high. Before Ford adopted the assembly line, it took the time to build a car took 12.5 hours. After the assembly line was introduced, the time was less than 1 hour and 33 minutes. So you're talking about more than a 12th of the time was reduced to build a car. Well, I should tell you, this team is all ex-Numi employees, and they never put a Model T together. They got them cheap. They were looking for a job. By the time the 10th million Model T was built, 9 out of 10 cars on the road were Model Ts. So 9 out of 10 cars in 1921-22 were Model Ts. The cost of a Model T was $850 in 1909. Was $440 in 1914. In 1921, you could buy a Model T for $275. So you can see the Model T price went down by a third. I mean, it was a third of the cost of what it was earlier. And it had all to do with the assembly line and making things more simple. The car that is assembled here is in 1917. By 1917, there were 1.3 million Model Ts were built that year alone.
Make the record safe.
If you talk about the 1917 and how many cars were built, and you say 52 weeks a year, 6 days a week, two shifts per day, that's 2.5 cars every minute coming off the assembly line. The 1917 had 3 different cars that were very popular. The Runabout, which was $345, which is the car you see here. The Sedan, $645, and the Touring was $360. The Touring sold 5 times the next body style, which is the Roadster. And as you see, always heard that Ford said that you could have any car, any color, as long as it was black. And the reason is that if you had to have different colors, it takes more time. Also, they found that the Jap black color that was used on the car was the fastest drying paint. So again, you could get more cars out by using a paint that was faster drying. This was the year that the high head was introduced, which was a lower compression with a bigger cooling jacket. Even though the Model T last Model T was built in 1927, the last Model T engine was built in August 1941. You're talking 14 years after the car was last built, they were still making engines. And that was because they were using them for station engineering engines for a whole variety of devices. Matter of fact, sometimes you see old paint orchard sprayers which have Model T engines. They were sold as stationary engines to various companies. At that time in 1941, between the last Model T and the last engine, there was another 140,000 engines built for the that was used in the Model T.
Emergency brake. Get the emergency brake call there. Just push that. Hold it there.
Watch out, don't get those fingers in there. Yeah.
3 inches. 2 inches. There, down. Okay. Pull the board out and lift this up. Pull the board out.
Almost got somebody's head with that board. Now, different than the how this car's been assembled, the Model T was moved along the assembly line and the workers just stayed. All these guys are running around working up a sweat. Yeah, you guys getting thirsty? Like some water?
You ready for water? Not ready for water?
Actually, these guys, I understand they haven't practiced on this car, so a lot of times it's the first time. If these guys did this every day, we could get a nice cheap car. You need to get that wire in there. Okay, the fenders are going on. It looks like we're getting into the assembly line.
Go, 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 go.
We have a driver. They're going to try and start this car, so you people that are standing in front, you may be able to make sure there's no slow-moving people in front of that car. Model Ts were known to slip and get away from you, so when they started, it may jump forward.
The body's in the way. Too heavy. Just, stick it. Yeah. Put it in the right hole. Okay. Underneath here. You got the...
Yeah, behind it.
You did.
the pieces now. It's a car. Almost. Yeah, you're right. It's almost.
Well, this Model T actually has a Ruxel rear end. That was an auxiliary two-speed rear axle that could be bought through Ford. It was one of the few accessories that Ford approved. You see any parts left over on the ground, folks? Not that late.
Yeah.
You got gas for that thing? They're taking the rope down. Don't be too over optimistic. They got somebody in it?
Yeah, water already? Go.
Oh, there comes the hood. Gotta keep that beauty on. Oh, I see somebody cranking it. Do we have a spark?
Gas on? Crank it one more time. Choke one more time. Go.
Well, it took 9 minutes and 56 seconds.